In this video, I'm going to cover the top 10 things I wish I knew about RC cars before I got into the hobby. They can be great fun by yourself, or even more if you have friends to share the experience with, and this is something you can enjoy for years or even decades. But when starting out or trying to expand what you know, it can be very difficult learning all the lingo or acronyms that go with this hobby. So in this video, I'm going to try and cover as much as I can of the things I wish I knew before buying my first RC car. We're going to cover the different types of RC cars you can get, the different power systems, parts, modifications, and more. Now let's get into it. Okay, there are a few main types you can buy, being kit, where you get all of the parts and you have to build it from scratch. ARTR, meaning almost ready to run, where you'd need to provide a few parts which are different depending on what car you buy. And ready to run, meaning all parts for the car to run are there. When buying a kit, it's normally completely disassembled and you will need to put everything together. This may require special tools, a lot of work and patience, and may not be for everyone. When buying an ARTR or almost ready to run car, they normally only require a couple of things like batteries and chargers, but it can vary a lot. As to keep costs down, they don't include a lot more of the parts. Be cautious as the initial price may be lower, but you may end up spending more just to get a working RC car when you factor in the battery, charger and whatever else you need on top of that. RTR or ready to run is the most popular, as they come with everything you need to have a running RC car, and is one I would recommend to someone getting started in the hobby. One thing to keep in mind, while the car is ready to run, they often don't come with batteries for the remote, normally double or AAA, and you'll need to supply them, especially with the cheaper and less well-known brands that try to keep costs down as they're competing for best value. So the next topic is the power source, or what makes the RC car go. The three main types here are electric, petrol or nitro. For electric, this is what I chose, as they can require the least maintenance. They can go very fast depending on how the car is set up. Drawback can be you only get a short run time per charge, but you can always buy more batteries for longer run times, and just make sure you get the right type of battery and connector. More on this later. Next is petrol powered, and the sound can be a big factor for people, and electric can be a bit underwhelming in that sound department sometimes. Runtime can be much longer than battery powered, and petrol is readily available at gas or petrol stations depending on which part of the world you're in. And maintenance can be a lot more for petrol RC cars. You need to break in the engine for better longevity, and clean and replace filters can sometimes be a per run basis, especially if you run it in dirt or sand. And these are just some examples of the maintenance you'd need to perform. As it's quite different for each car, you might want to refer to the manufacturer's manual on what they recommend. Next is nitro powered, and they are very similar to petrol in terms of amount of maintenance and sound, compared to electric at least. And they have long run times, but nitro fuel difficult to come by than gas or petrol. But you should be able to find it at a local hobby shop, or possibly order it online as well. Hey everyone, if you could leave a like, a comment or both, that would really help me out and I would greatly appreciate it, as it will help me reach more people and make more videos. Next is what to expect at different price points. So the price points I'm going to do here are $0 to $50, $50 to $100, $100 to $200, $200 to $400, $400 to $600, and $600 and above. At $0 to $50, this price range, most cars will be cheap, quite slow, and made of easily breakable materials. Proportional steering and acceleration are almost unheard of at this price point, and most cars will be a smaller scale / size. At $50 to $100, it's still on the smaller side of size / scale, but there are much more options with a bit faster cars. And if you can wait for a sale, you can get some really good cars at this point in terms of value for money. Now, there will be compromises, but they can still perform quite well. They are a little stronger materials than the lower price point, but some better quality at the higher end of this, and there are a lot more options with proportional steering and acceleration at this price point, but still not a given. Next is $100 to $200, and at this point you can get some decently fast and capable RC cars at this price, but you won't find much of the bigger brands at this point. Most will have proportional steering, and you will see some brushless models at this price point. More on brushless versus brushed motors later. Okay, from 200 to 400 you can get some really capable RC cars at this price point. Most will still be the lesser known brands. Almost all will have proportional steering and acceleration, and you'll get better quality and more purpose-built cars at this price point, and there are a lot bigger scale cars at this price point as well. Now $400 to $600 you'll find a lot of fast, high quality off-brand cars and a few good well-known brands like Traxxas, Armour and more at this price point. From what I've found, the well-known brands are more refined, drive smoother, are easier to control at speed, and parts availability will be at local hobby shops as opposed to needing to order it online and waiting a few weeks to sometimes a month for spares to get to you for cars of lesser known brands. Next is $600 plus, so here you'll find highly refined and very purpose-built cars, a lot quicker again, bigger jumps, more durability and bigger scale, to name a few things. Okay, next is brushed or brushless motors. Now this is just for electric or battery powered cars. And for brush motors, they are generally cheaper, less efficient, slower and don't last as long, and are more prone to breaking as compared with brushless motors. You can still get some quick brushed motors, and they're generally used to power RC cars priced under around $200 of the lesser known brands, and some entry level cars of well known brands as well. Now for brushless, so they're more efficient, normally go much faster and last longer and keep cooler than brushed motors. If you can afford a car with a brushless motor, I would recommend getting this over a car with a brushed motor. One thing to note though with brushless motors, and this is more if you do conversions as opposed to buy them as a ready to run vehicle, so they can suffer from what's called cogging, which is where they won't know where they are in rotation, and they will get quite stuck and make sort of slight jolty movements forwards until they can get the position in the motor correct. Now this can be mitigated if you do get a censored motor, but the cheaper ones generally run on sensorless, which is where this problem can occur. Hey everyone, just a quick prompt to subscribe. If you enjoy these videos, remember subscribing is free and you can always unsubscribe in the future. Okay, for batteries there are a few main types. Here we're going to talk about NiMH, Li-ion and LiPo. For NiMH or nickel metal hydride, these are an older technology battery and not used as much in newer cars. You may see them in older or used cars. They can store a decent amount of power but are normally bigger and heavier than Li-ion or LiPo and don't produce as much power at once. Now for Li-ion or lithium-ion batteries. So they can store more power than NiMH, they produce more power for better acceleration and are generally lighter as well. Now for LiPo or lithium polymer, these are faster again, provide even more acceleration and power, but can be unstable, and in some cases when damaged they can cause fires. So to reduce the risk, it is recommended to store them at 3.8 volts per cell if you're going to be leaving them for any length of time. This can also be a highly debated topic, and some other recommendations are for 3.85 volts per cell, and you can also get a product called a LiPo safe bag to help stifle the fire or damage caused by a battery fire. Now number 6, parts availability. For lesser known brands, parts can be very hard to find or take a long time to get to you if you have to order them from online. For well-known brands, parts can normally be found at a local hobby shop, and if waiting for parts is a big deal for you, it can be best to see what local shops have in stock, as it can vary greatly depending on where you live in the world. At number 7 we've got size/scale. Now for me, I find 1/12 scale and bigger are a good size for outdoor use. Also for off-road use you might want to get a bigger car with bigger wheels if the place you plan to drive at medium to long grass, as the smaller cars with less clearance can often get stuck. And for me, I've found smaller cars of 1/18th scale and smaller to be better for indoor use, or purpose-built tracks being tracks built for their size, as they can get around well with less space, and when used outdoors can feel more like taking a journey as opposed to a quick blast to the end of the parking lot or to the limit of the range in the park. At number 8, we've got modifications. A lot of the cheaper cars can be very limited in what you can do, as they are not as popular, so companies won't make upgrade parts as the amount of possible customers is normally a lot smaller. So there are exceptions, like wltoys for example. There are a lot of aftermarket upgrades available, but you will normally have to order them online and wait for them to be shipped. For better known brands like Traxxas and Armour, to name a few, they will generally have more parts available, as they are generally more popular, and companies will be more likely to make parts for them, as they will most likely be able to sell higher amounts of the upgraded parts. But with that said, I would still say it's best to do some research on the specific model you plan to buy, as it can vary greatly. At number 9, I've got proportional steering and acceleration. I find this is a very big factor in choosing an RC car. If a car does not have proportional steering and acceleration, it can be very hard to control. It's either full lock steering, no steering, or 100% acceleration or no acceleration. I would highly recommend getting a car with proportional steering and acceleration if at all possible. At number 10, I've got where you plan to use it. Now, this is a big choice. Do you plan to drive it off-road, on trails, climbing rocks, logs, and other objects at slow speeds? If so, a purpose-built rock crawler might be the car for you. If on-road and speed is more your thing, getting a purpose-built faster car with road or foam tyres might be a better choice for you. Or you might want a good all-rounder to do a bit of everything. These can be great fun all-round, but won't do any one thing spectacularly. For example, they might get stuck trying to get over bigger objects, they might get stuck in taller grass. Be slower than purpose-built on-road cars, but they do provide a lot more options, and this can be great in that they let you have greater flexibility in what you do with them. Now, there are many more things I could go into detail about for each section, but I think this video is long enough now. Let me know below if you want me to do a dedicated video on any of these topics. If you think I missed something in my list, let me know down below in the comments, and thanks for watching, and I hope this helps you choose the best RC car for you.